Hey guys, welcome back to my Freecodecamp tutorial videos. Last time we met, we did arguments optional, and today we're going to be doing make a person. If you like my content, please click like and subscribe below. I release these algorithm videos almost on a daily basis. So we are almost done going through the whole intermediate algorithm scripting section. And probably the next time after this, we'll be doing the algorithms and data structure projects here. All right, so let's go on with make a person. Let me read the directions for us real quick. Fill in the object constructor with the following methods below. We have 6 functions here, methods. Run the test to see the expected output for each method. The methods that take an argument must accept only one argument, and it has to be a string. These methods must be the only available means of interacting with the object. Let's get this code, bring it over here. And I highly encourage you guys, if you haven't tried this question out, please pause the video now, try it on your own, and then come back to the video. All right, so here I believe is the first question out of all the series of questions that we've been going through in the intermediate JavaScript section, where we deal with object-oriented programming, OOP. So this var person equals function, and we have this keyword. This is an example of a class in JavaScript. Now this is the ES5, the old notation of class. We have the new ES6 method of creating a class, and which is, it looks like this. There is no parameters that we take. However, in order to give it some parameters, like what we're doing here, you have to make the constructor method here, and then you would write your parameter here, and so on. However, they don't want us to use this method. They want us to use the ES5 method, so we'll stick with this. Now, normally, this question itself wouldn't be too bad, but they got this weird instance here. They said objects.keys.bot.length should be returned 6. Now, whenever we make a class, whenever we make an object like this, all of these methods that we are going to make in our class, these will count, these will be included in the keys. When we do object.keys, we will see this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, all 6 of these. So what this test is testing for is that these are the only keys we have in this object. Meaning, normally, how I would have solved this was I would have done this. So an object could have 2 different types of keys. They could either be a property or a method. These 6 right here, they're all methods. What I normally would have done to solve this problem was I would have defined properties like so. This dot maybe first is equal to first and last, the first part, whatever. And I would have done this. However, we can't do this. We can't define properties in this function here, in this class here, because they want us for some reason to the length of the keys to return exactly 6. If we do it this method where we define properties, it will return 8. So this will no longer work. So I don't know why they have this restriction. I think it's kind of stupid, to be honest. But either way, we will follow the directions and we will try to solve this using only 6 keys. All right, so because we can't use properties of an object to put our variables of the first and last name, we have to use what's called a closure. I will define variables in here that is not a property of the object itself. So the way that we're going to do that is just treat this like a function, and we will define variables inside here. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to first, let's see. Let's just do this. Let first is equal to first and last. And to just get the first part of the name, what we're passing in as its parameter is, let's see their example. Some first name and space, some last name. These are separated by a space. So the way that we access the first name is we could just first split it with the space. So that will give us an array for this Haskell curry example. What split will do, let me just show you guys here. what this will equal, it will give us back an array where it has split the string into where the space was. So this is what the split method will give us. So I'm going to split it, and I just want the 0th index. After I split it, I want the 0th index. And let last be, I'm going to do the same thing. Split it, but just make sure you have a space bar here. We're telling JavaScript to split it where there is a space bar. And then I want the first index for the last name. So I'm using let variables here, so that instead of using, for example, this dot first, because they have this weird criteria where we should have the object keys dot length should return 6. So we can't use properties of an object. We have to just use variables like so. All right, so if we do, let's build our first method here. This dot get full name, then we should return the full name. I don't know why they have this return first and last here, so I'm going to erase that. So now how do we get the first and last name separated by a space with our variable here? So that's very easy to do. I'm going to use ES6 string interpolation. These are backticks, and I'm going to say return, first and last variable. Let's see if that works. Let's console log this get full name and see if that gives us Bob Ross. I run the code and we get Bob Ross, so that works. So now let's go one by one. This is going to be kind of tedious, and you could probably do this on your own too, but let's go one by one by doing all of these. I'm going to then do this dot get first name, paste that in, equals a function, and I will just return. I don't need string interpolation here because we're just returning the first name. So how about we just do return first? We should test it, but before we test it, let's just do the last name too. This dot get last name is function return last. Let me just put semicolons there. You don't need to, but I like doing so. Now let's test this. How about Bob get first name? Would that give us Bob? Yes, it does. And how about last name? Get last name, run the code, and we get Ross. All right, so now we did the three getter functions, the getter methods. These are called getter methods because we're getting normally it will be a property, but not really in this case, which is kind of weird again. But these are getter functions because they give us some type of property that was stored in this class. Now we are going to define the three setters of this class. Setters pretty much sets a property to another value. So let me show you here. We're going to do this dot set first name. And this is another function. But however, we have a parameter here called first. Now, this is optional, but I highly recommend you do this. We have a naming conflict here. See, if I reference, for example, if I reference this first parameter here, I have a conflict because I already defined the variable outside of this function called first. So does he use the first that was this variable here, or does he use the first that was passed through the function? So the answer is he would use this first whenever I would reference it because that's the current scope. But I don't like this naming conflict in the first place. So I'm going to say this is going to be first. What should we name it? Make sure you get every single one. Let's rename all of them. Whoops. I'm just going to rename this as first var. So I used my WebStorm to do that real quick, but just make sure you do that for this one, that one, that one. Do I like first var? Yes, whatever. That's good enough. And let's rename the last to last var, again, to avoid naming conflicts. So now that we did that, we could say this set first name. We are going to just replace our first var variable that is defined out here. And we are going to change it with first. And this dot set last name function last. That's our next method. And we are going to say last var is last. I mean, I think I don't like this first var and last var variable name anymore. I think what would have been better if we just changed the name of this to first param or something, but I like to keep the method names that they have here, the variable names that they have here, and that's why I chose to change our variable outside. Let's see if this works. So I'm gonna do, we created var Bob, a new person. I'm gonna change Bob's name, Bob. Set first name to, let's do Justin, and Bob set last name to Kim. That's my name. And I'm gonna see if get full name now gives me back Justin Kim. If it does, then I know that both of these methods that we made works. And I get back Justin Kim. So we have successfully created our first two set functions. These are setters. We are setting a property of this class. Now let's just get the last one. Set full name. Set full name is a function that takes first and last. Technically, we have another naming conflict here, so I wouldn't do this if this was my own code. However, I'm gonna stick with the parameter names that they're giving us, and I know that within this context, the scope is this variable here. So let's do the same thing that we did here. And except we don't need this let, because we're just reassigning our first var and last var into our new first name and last name. Let's see if this works. Set full name to, let's see, I can't think of a name, Bobby Brown. Let's see if that works. And we get Bobby Brown. All right, now let's see if Freecodecamp likes the solution. Run the tests, and some of them fails, which is weird. Bob get first name. Let's see. Oh, it's because I set the full name here. We don't want to bring this over. We just want to end it with this var Bob, a new person. Run the tests, and we pass. Hey guys, thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. Today we did make a person, and tomorrow we will be doing the very final algorithm of this section called map the debris. So if it's your first time here, I release these type of algorithm videos on a daily basis, so please stay subscribed to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.